This is Alesa Loftus, and I'm here with Jimmie Ratliff. We're Dynamic Independence, and today we're going to talk about how to become a consumer with Dynamic Independence. So first, let me ask Jimmie, what is a Center for Independent Living?
So a Center for Independent Living is a place where people can come to get assistance if they have a disability or some other need. We're a nonprofit organization run by people with disabilities, and a bit of a misnomer, a lot of people believe that a Center for Independent Living is a place where people go to live, and that's not the case. We are an organization that offers a variety of services to help people with disabilities, but nobody lives at the center.
Okay, good point. And who would be considered a consumer?
Right. So our consumers, basically what a consumer is, to start with, it's a term that we use for individuals who we're working with to meet certain goals or to provide a service for. And those services that we provide might be information referrals, individual and systems advocacy, peer support, independent living skills training, community awareness, and also we have an equipment lending program. So anybody who we're providing those services for would be considered a consumer.
So who would qualify as a consumer here, and then how would they reach out to get the process started?
Okay, so that's a good question. So anyone with a disability qualifies to become a consumer and receive those consumer-related services that we just talked about at no cost. We do offer support to families and caretakers as well for individuals who have disabilities. So just because you're a family member or caretaker doesn't mean that you can't reach out and say, hey, I know somebody who might benefit from your services. Can you tell me a little bit about your services? So if you are over 18, then you can generally contact the center yourself. If you do have a caregiver, you can also have your caregiver reach out. If you are under 18 or you have a legal guardian and you're over 18, then you and your legal guardian should work together to contact us to get the process started on becoming a consumer. Family members and caretakers can ask about services, like I said, but consumers receiving services must give Dynamic Independence written permission before we can share any information about our consumer data that we have on file or the services that we're offering, those types of things, to another person. You can also sign a release whenever we come in to do these types of plans, and that will allow for that to happen. So some of the things that we won't discuss with people would be things like your independent living plan, your goals, or any other information that we've obtained in order to provide services, and we respect the privacy, and we treat all of our consumer records and our anything we're doing with our consumers with confidentiality.
That's a good point. We do follow all the HIPAA guidelines.
Yes.
And how long does the first in-person visit to the center generally take?
Right. So generally, the first visit to the center takes about an hour. Can be a little more, can be a little bit less. And during this meeting, we'll gather your basic information, things like contact information, name, phone number, birthday, address, those types of things. And we'll start to create this consumer file that we will keep all this information in. We'll also talk about services that you're looking for and what your primary disability is. That will help us better gauge what services that we have that we might be able to point you in the right direction for services to receive. And like I talked about earlier, signing a release form would allow us to share information that you wish to share with maybe your doctors or a family member or a caretaker at that time, so that we can work together to come up with a vital plan moving forward.
And also, it will allow for doctor's offices and stuff to share information with us if we need it.
Right, yes. And you would specifically, as a consumer, give us specific permission for each individual doctor. So just because you sign a consent form or waiver form doesn't mean that I can just go to any of your doctors and talk. It has to. You'll specifically name those doctors that you're using, and also we may discuss an independent living plan if you're looking to put a plan together to build skills or to create goals that will help you live more independently.
Right. Okay. So what can I expect in my visits going forward after that first initial get to know you visit? What would be my next steps over my regular visits or whatever?
Right. So after your primary intake, which is your first meeting, we'll work together to discuss the services that you want in more depth and how we can help you to obtain those. As I said previously, we could also discuss independent living plans. We can create life goals or goals just in general for this plan for very specific things. It might be something like you want to get a car. Well, what are those steps and how can we break those things down so that you can meet that goal and get the service that you're looking for there. You may also want to modify things like your independent living plan from time to time, like creating new goals or modifying existing ones. So those are things that we'll discuss in subsequent meetings as well.
Okay. And how often can I meet with dynamic independence advocates?
So a lot of times that's really just up to the consumer and how much they feel that they need our help in getting them moving in the direction where they can create, they can obtain these goals that they're looking to achieve. So we'll work with any consumer to create a schedule that allows, again, for you to meet as many times to meet your independent living goals. Individuals who are looking for things like information and referral services or to borrow medical equipment that we lend, those folks may need to just have 1 or 2 meetings with us. But as you get further on down and start creating things like independent living plans and looking at life goals and different independent living skills, and even along the advocacy part, you may need to meet more than a couple of times. You might need to meet a few days in a row to get things started. You might want to meet once a month after that, and that's up to the consumer. Or you might want to have a meeting once a week so that you can come in, make sure that you're on track, see what's working, see what's not working, and make changes as we move along so that you're able to get to that goal in the most efficient way.
Very good. Okay. And so if I become a consumer of dynamic independence, can I bring someone with me to my meetings?
Yeah, if you have someone that you trust, support is key in meeting a lot of the goals that people will come in and establish as part of their independent living plan. They may also have a caretaker that brings them back and forth to the meetings that they have with us. So you could always bring that person with you. You're not required to bring an individual with you unless you're underage or you have a legal guardian. Then that's something that you'll work out with the guardian at that time. But it's important to know that you need to have a support system outside of just dynamic independence as well. And if you do have people that you can trust, feel free to bring them with you. We won't tell you that you can't. It gets to be your call. A couple of things that we might want to remind folks is that if you are a parent and you have your child coming up for regular appointments or to create a plan, some sort of transition plan or something for independent living skills with dynamic independence, and a child turns 18 and the parent doesn't have legal guardianship over them after that, the now adult child would have to sign basically a release where we would be able to talk to the parents on a continued basis. Even though the parents started them out on this, once they reach 18 years old and they're considered an adult, then we have to focus on just the consumer, unless that consumer still wants to engage with their parent or guardian from before.
So if you have guardianship over an 18-year-old or older, you can bring in your copy of your guardianship papers to show us that you're guardian, so that you would still be able to
Right.
discuss with a guardian.
Right.
It's just if they're legally their own person once they turn 18, then we can't discuss it unless they sign with us.
That's correct. So we encourage folks to just, if you're going to come up and inquire about services, and that is a thing where there's guardianship, be sure that you bring copies of that. We'll just add it to the consumer file. It's not shared outside of the folks that are working in the office on these specific consumer files. It's not talked about with anybody. It's all very confidential, but we have that in place there so that we know who we're allowed to talk to based on the consumer's wishes, because it is all about the consumer and what they want to do with their life,
Right.
moving to be independent.
Right. As always, we want to encourage independent living, and I thank you for sharing great information there, Jimmie. We're going to talk more in the future about our independent living plans, what they are, and how consumers can work with us to create one-on-one time to meet their independent living goals. And if you have any questions or comments, as always, please type them in those comments right below this video and let us know so that we can answer those for you. Or you can always come by our office at 1110 Southeast Frank Phillips Boulevard, or call me at the telephone number at 918-335-1314. We hope you all have a great remainder of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.